This is SSPTV News, brought to you by Samsung Productions and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.
As Lent begins, local historian Charles McAwee reflects on the role of churches in our area's history. Hello everyone, and thank you for being with us as we get ready for yet another snowstorm. I'm Ken Kara, and we'll get to the weather, but first, the season of Lent is now underway for Christians, and it continues until the Easter holiday, the day they believe Jesus rose from the dead. Here's Janine Lassant with a story about Lent during the pandemic.
Well, it is the Lenten season, and we are glad to have back with us Charles McAwee. He is the Vice President of the Greater Hazleton Historical Society, and Lent is a time that a lot of us reflect on ourselves, reflect on how we can do better as a person, as a community, and I know Lent has a lot of religious ties to the Greater Hazleton area.
It does have religious ties to the area, and it's a somber Ash Wednesday this year. I mean, Lent is a period of reflection, but this year, I mean, the tragedy is many people won't be able to go to church. We're living under these pandemic restrictions, but also realities. And, you know, I think, you know, of a few years ago when people, you know, just last year, right, that if you were at work, you'd probably, you know, take an hour or your lunch hour, go to mass, get your ashes, come back. It was somewhat of a fun day, right? In the office, as you wore your ashes in your forehead or wherever you worked. But we don't have that this year. But I also think it's a time, Janine, for people to think about the importance of churches, which are struggling quite profoundly because of the realities of COVID and people tuning in maybe on Facebook Live rather than going in person. And, you know, those collection baskets are lean right now, and that, of course, raises questions about the future, I imagine, of churches everywhere.
You can still donate to the churches. I know that for us, we've always been a family and a company that has supported the Catholic churches. We do have televised masses on, but we've increased those over the last year because of the need. Because people are searching for some kind of normalcy and they are turning to their faith. What a great time as the Lenten season to really focus internally on our faith and to practice our religion, and to, like you said, you are allowed into churches within reason. You do have to wear your mask, but we do offer, you know, there's so many ways that you can attend mass. You can drop off donations. I know that, you know, people might think because the church aren't, you know, open to full capacity that they do not have the same financial obligations. However, they do.
In 1961, 63% of America's population, you know, in terms of church membership, 63% were going to church. That has plummeted, and that was occurring even before COVID. And it is resulting in church closures, of course, some that we've seen in Greater Hazleton over the decades, but elsewhere. And I did write for City Journal a few years ago, this magazine feature called The Battle for Rust Belt Catholicism. And one thing I had noted was, you know, there was a study about the economic halo effect, the vital economic role that churches in reality play in so many community neighborhoods. And by their estimation, they projected that a typical church in like an urban neighborhood, for example, generated over $1.7 million annually in economic impact. Now, I don't know if that level would be necessarily the case for some of our churches in the Hazleton area, but there isn't a halo effect, undoubtedly, in many parts of this area because of churches and the community role they play. And look, I mean, we continue to see church closures, as we know. Holy Trinity, Russian Orthodox, that recently closed in McAdoo, and the Standard Speaker recently referenced it, profiled it. And I was struck by the one quote. The guy said, "We lost something. Part of our life is gone. It was a big loss. We still feel it. My wife said today, we have no church." So, you know, this Ash Wednesday and throughout Lent, you know, we may not be going to Mass with the frequency that we once had because of COVID, but it's certainly important to remember to, at a minimum, as a charitable act, perhaps consider supporting your parish with a donation, or your church, wherever that may be, because that's in some ways a foundation for the greater Hazleton area.
Silver lining that the weather will be getting nicer soon throughout the end of Lent. So finding ways that we can give back to the community and stay connected with our faith.
Absolutely. And we need to keep that. And yes, I mean, by historical standards, churches have always played a crucial role in the Hazleton area. And we need to keep that going.
Today's news feature is brought to you by Feisner's Ford in Freeland, who is celebrating 75 years in business. Give them a call at 570-636-3920, or you can log on to feisnersford.com.
Time now for weather on SSPTV News.
Here's our forecast from the National Weather Service. On Thursday, expect snow with a high in the 20s, new snow accumulation of around 3 inches. Thursday night, snow possibly mixed with freezing rain and sleet. We'll have a low in the 20s. Friday, a chance of snow, cloudy with a high near 30 degrees. Friday night, mostly cloudy with a low in the teens. Saturday is partly sunny with a high in the 20s. Saturday night, partly cloudy with a low around 10 degrees. Sunday is mostly sunny with a high near 30 degrees. And Sunday night, mostly cloudy with a low around 20 degrees. Let's check out some sports notes on the SSPTV Standard Speaker Scoreboard. Hazleton area wrestler Bryce Molinaro earned a top seed at 189 pounds for the District 2 AAA Championships on Saturday at Mohegan Sun Arena in Wilkes-Barre Township. The Cougars have several other wrestlers who earned high seeds. This year, only district champions will go on to the state tournament. In boys basketball, Hazleton area lost to Holy Redeemer. Josian Guerrero led Hazleton with 11 points. In other games, Marion beat Monoy area. DeWin Concepcion scored 24 points for the Colts. In girls basketball, Cameron Mangle had a double-double in North Schuylkill's win over Blue Mountain. Frankie Martinelli and Ashley Plebin led Marion to a win. Both scored 13 points for the Phillies. In swimming, Tamaqua and North Schuylkill were swept. Coming up, the Miss Greater Hazleton Scholarship Organization's fun way to raise some money and bring some smiles this Easter. And in sports, we talk with members of the Hazleton Area High School swim teams.
The Greater Hazleton Job Fair will be held on Thursday, March 25th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Laurel Mall. The Chamber is currently seeking businesses to participate in the job fair. If you are a business and you are interested, you can call the Chamber at 570-455-1509, or you can log on to hazletonchamber.org. SSPTV News would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Walter Harker of Rock Glen. Family or friends asked to call the Luzerne County Coroner's Office at 570-825-1665. Brandon M. Lazar, age 28, of Weatherly. Services will be private under the Philip J. Jeffries Funeral Home. Joseph Richard Malt, age 90, of Hazleton. Services will be private under the Middlesex Funeral Home in Middlesex, New Jersey. Elizabeth A. Meinhold, age 89, of Exeter Township. The service will be held on Friday at 11 a.m. at St. Catherine of Siena Roman Catholic Church in Reading. Friends make off Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. at the church. The Lutz Funeral Home in Reading is in charge of arrangements. Michael D. Moranzik, age 74, of Drums. A memorial service will be held on Friday at 1 p.m. at the Harmon Funeral Home in Drums. In Emil J. Yanochko, age 89, of Freeland. Services will be private under the McNulty Funeral Home. Today's social and obituary report is brought to you by Harmon Funeral Home and Crematory. Call 570-788-0977 or go to harmonfuneral.com.